Guys, I went and visited Jason Reif at Jerrc. So he's got a lot of stuff, Clods, SMTs, LMTs, insane stuff, constantly building new stuff. He's got chassis. This is a long video. We're going to get right to the good stuff right now. Take a look. Guys, I'm with Jason from Jerrc right here.
Hello, guys.
Hey, man. So I'm looking at your stuff. You print a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I make usually is first a prototype. Things like what you're looking at now with the axle braces. Those are a little bit harder to get made of metal. So they're easier to make of plastic, and getting the pattern and everything down in them is key.
Right.
Looking at some adapters there for the LMT wheels and also for your J concept wheels. And we'll show you a little bit more about these, the metal version of these.
Very
I got
nice.
some prototypes we'll show you here in just a little while.
Good deal.
But yeah.
Man, sway bar end links.
Yep.
Look at all that.
You got your different sway bars here. You got two different ones. You got your heavy duty and your standard. The biggest thing with the heavy duty is obviously it's a little bit bigger.
Right.
It's made of 70-75, whereas the standard version is 60-61. Also, you'll notice that there's a keyhole in the arm itself that actually fits. It's keyed onto this shaft.
Very nice. I like that.
So that way it doesn't freely spin, and you don't have to have a lot of torque on
that set screw.
On that set screw, which is actually M4. So you get plenty of torque, depending on what you use. If you use the head, you can use a 3mm, or if you use a grub screw, you can use a 2.5 to tighten it down. So you got plenty of torque.
That's a good.
To be able to tighten it down.
Excellent deal on that. You have different size bars and all kinds of stuff for tuning.
Yep. Well, we got these are the cross supports for the SMT style builds, the Percy's and APEP chassis.
Mm-hmm.
These go between the two chassis to hold it apart and make it a little bit more rigid. You got transmission plates. This is a universal transmission plate that will accept your basic SMT transmission, ground pounder, both SCS, the freestyle RC, and the RC four-wheel drive transmission, and also the top bar that goes with it. This is designed into the chassis that I have, which we'll go over a little bit later.
Very nice, man.
But other than that, yeah, just got several different varieties of things, and as things are,
Absolutely.
some things will get phased out and
Beautiful,
and whatnot.
Now it's time to look at his trucks. Man, what have you got here?
Well, I got a little bit of everything here, actually.
I see.
Everything started off with actually this chassis here, which is the original Percy's chassis, truck style chassis. It's changed a little bit over time. As I've looked at different bodies and things to try to get a more universal fit, so I've kind of moved the cab around and shortened it up a little bit here and there. But all in all, this is basically what everything started. Basically cutting it out of acrylic.
Acrylic?
Yeah.
Really?
I used 3/8 inch acrylic to do my first prototypes about a year ago when I started down this road. And it's evolved into, now I've got the Percy's, I've got the APEP, which is the roll cage version, in the SMT style, and then I've also got this one here is a Clodbuster, the Percy's chassis, which is the same as the flag truck here. It has the body of the Percy's, but the way the Percy's chassis is designed to kind of cut out, so you can actually accommodate a Clodbuster setup in it. So you got plenty of room for your axles to move through and everything, and you can still keep your cab. So if you put a body on it, it still looks like it's got a full cage in there. But you're getting the ability to also run it as a Clod. The whole thing with my chassis, where I felt there was a niche or a need, was to have basically one or two chassis that you could do almost anything with.
Versatility.
You could take it from a solid axle AR60 axles to a Clodbuster from an offset SMT ground pounder type transmission. You could put an SCS drop transmission in it from freestyle or RC full drive, and you could do it all with one truck. No, all the holes are already pre-drilled for all the different things. There's several holes in here for tuning your shocks, your sway bars, whatever.
Right.
That was kind of where I felt the market needed to be, in my opinion, because I liked a lot of stuff on the market, but it didn't have a lot of versatility to where I could build it kind of how I wanted to.
It was meant just for one vehicle versus.
You know, if you bought one brand's chassis, you basically had to buy their transmission, their axles, their links, everything else. Whereas this, you buy it as a kit. It's a builder's kit. Some people laugh when I say that, but it's not something that's just plug and play. You got to trim your four links to fit whatever axles you put under it, because you're not limited. So that kind of stuff is where I felt the market needed to be, and that's kind of how I got where I am now with what I have. So we have the original. I also have the APEP, but I'm not going to bring that out right now. Everything can be found online at JERRC.
Gotcha.
On Facebook or jercustomdesigns.com on the web. You can find everything there. Also for the SMT, got the 12 millimeter flower pot hub adapters for J Concept wheels.
All right. That's nice.
These will fit any 12 millimeter hex. They got a separate locking screw in them. So if you're out bashing and stuff and you're worried about your nut coming off, these set screws actually bite into the hex. So if your hub nut comes off, you don't have to worry about losing the.
We want to keep our nuts intact.
Yes, want to keep them right where they belong.
Now this is for the LMT 17 millimeter right there.
Yep,
right?
This is the new 17 millimeter J Concept Hex Adapter, which is actually designed to fit onto the stock 17 millimeter hex.
Beautiful.
I did it for various reasons, but mainly because obviously they built these with a purpose. The 17 millimeter hex was there for a purpose.
Yeah.
So my idea was to keep the hex, to keep the strength and durability of whatever they designed into these axles and everything.
Absolutely.
And utilize that to the advantage of the user. These two also have the set screws that actually lock into the hub as well, just like for the SMT. The JMT Pro RC,
okay,
which is the racer cage, is what the RC stands for.
Is this the one you've been jumping like crazy out there in the back?
Yep. Oh yeah,
I've seen them.
Yeah, this thing's taken some abuse, definitely. If you notice on the bottoms here, the drag links,
yeah,
got bent, but been running it ever since, just the same way, because now, ironically, the chassis hits, and it doesn't allow them to bend any further. So, but ideally, I mean, this is set up to race with. It's not meant to bash. Anything that you put trailing arm shocks on, you probably don't want to bash them, because I mean you're putting a lot of stress and strain down on that, especially when you bottom the shocks out off a big jump.
Yes.
The main reason I do it, and I did it, is because I'm trying to find the weak points in any stuff that I have for the trucks, which basically this truck here is about 2% original LMT.
2%,
maybe 5%. And that would consist of, you got your transmission plate and your battery tray. Everything else is aftermarket. Got the Trill axles, the full metal axles underneath it.
Right.
The the Trident trailing arms. The ISO heavy duty sway bars on here, made of 7075 with 7075 links, I guess you want to call them.
Yeah.
Let's see. You got the hub adapters. You got J Concept wheels and tires on here. Actually, we kept the wheelie bars, so maybe 8%. But yeah, virtually everything else is aftermarket. And ever since the LMT came out, my whole goal, if you talk to the people that I know and talk to, I talked about nothing but making a chassis to use this running gear, period. I actually ended up buying 3 of these, and none of them resemble the stock truck, except for the Gravedigger. I'm reluctant to take that one apart right now, just because it's a Gravedigger.
Right.
But with this chassis here, I mean, several things were designed into it, which I can show you on this other chassis. But the other thing I'm running is we got the Demon. This is a 16.8 volt servo.
All right.
Which can actually handle up to 6 and 8S.
8S?
Yes. It's been tested
That's interesting.
to up to 8S, and it actually holds up. So it's not official yet, but it has been tested several times through the manufacturer and everything to see kind of what it would
handle 32 volts.
Yep.
That's pretty darn awesome.
It'll handle 6S all day long. They say 8S. I mean, you wouldn't want to go out there battery pack after battery pack after battery pack and just do nothing but bash them with it. But for a casual car, you're going out there, you put a pack through it, you switch to another car, or you wait or whatever.
Right.
Can you pause that?
So now we're going to look at some LMT chassis, right?
Yep. We got here. First, I'll put that off to the side there for a second. We can start off here. These here are what I consider, what I call the bolt-on chassis, and they're basically just that. If you look at the stock LMT, chassis, you have the 2 bolts on each side. You have your little wings on each side that hold your body and all that stuff. Well, this basically eliminates these 2 pieces and gives you kind of like a chassis cage design setup. And there's also the cage version of this as well, which I don't have out here at the moment. But it basically looks the same as the Pro does. It has the roll bar that comes down off the back here.
Gotcha.
And a little bit different that way. The biggest thing is this keeps all the original hardware that comes with the LMT, all your cross supports that are in the LMT, front and back. Everything stays the same.
So it really is a bolt-on design.
Yep. It's meant to accept every piece of the stock chassis, including your wheelie bar.
Makes it easy for guys like me.
Yeah. The main difference with this is this was kind of a second thought to what is, and this is a comparable, but there's kind of a second thought to this. This was the original design idea, which is a full cage. It replaces all of the panels on the LMT and just uses basically the transmission and the drive line. And also on this one, the battery, everything's flipped around, so now your battery's up front instead of in the rear for weight and balance and all that stuff.
Nice.
To keep the nose down when you're goosing it, you don't want to flip over, or you don't tend to flip over as much.
I don't know. Wheelies are fun.
Well, you can still do it on these too. But the whole idea is to make it less. It's more of a race chassis. This here is just to kind of spruce up the existing LMT chassis without going full out swapping chassis and stuff. You take a few bolts off. You take the struts off, swap them out, put them back together, and slap it on the center section of the LMT.
Now, how much does this cost versus this?
The price difference is about $75. Maybe a little bit more. I have to look to be sure. I don't remember off the top of my head, but you would have to ask me something like that off the cuff. But
it's all off the cuff.
But this here I think is around $250 for the chassis, and I think this one's around $325. And what you get with that, you get your trailing arms, a set of trailing arms for front and rear. You get the aftermarket sway bars, the cross supports, all the stuff basically you need to put it back together.
Okay, so it's way more than just a plate.
Yeah. You're getting more than just a plate. You're getting, like I said, the lower trailing arms, sway bars front and rear, everything you need to do to basically make this what it is.
Gotcha.
I guess.
I got you, man.
Anyways, so a little lost for words on that one, but nonetheless, so this would be your easiest bet as far as, you know, if you don't want to dive too deep into anything, because if you get the full chassis, the Pro chassis, you're gonna tear the transmission apart, and tearing the transmission apart is it's not that hard, but there's a lot of pieces and parts in there that you can lose or drop and misplace and put in the wrong places or whatnot. So you definitely want to be kind of adventurous when you mess with this with the Pro chassis, because it does require disassembling is basically the whole truck, because nothing of the original truck goes with it except for you got these 3 braces right here, and that's all the original truck for this, besides the transmission that goes on here. So a couple things about this, you'll see the difference between the two. This one here, you actually can use your stock sway bars.
Okay.
It comes with the aftermarket HD sway bars that we showed you earlier, which you have mounting holes here where you can put them, and you just have to remove this. You can't have them both in there because this will get in the way. But you can use your stock sway bars, so you can have a complete stock setup like it was out of the box, because everything on here is essentially in the same location as stock.
Right.
So you should get the same performance and everything out of it that you would out of a stock out of the box truck. The big difference also is a lot of people, if you noticed or if you tried, a lot of bodies do not fit the LMT chassis.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they just barely, and you have to trim or cut something on the chassis itself. These are already shortened about 1 inch on either side.
All right.
So you're more able to take a standard, this little 88 Chevy, put a regular body on there. It fits. You got plenty of room. You're not rubbing anything. Your wheelie bar still sticks out the back and gives you plenty of support, just the same as the stock LMT. And that was the main driving force behind doing these chassis. And then, of course, giving them a little style with the cab and the cage variation, just to kind of give it a little bit of character. But the main thing was to have a nice, strong chassis that was more adaptable to the common bodies that we have on the market today. I mean, I know J Concept and I think Proline, they're making some new bodies and stuff like that that fit specifically to the LMT. But if you don't like those bodies, you're kind of stuck.
Right.
You either got to chop the frame, or you got to cut holes in the body for the body to fit over the chassis. So that was another reason for doing this, as well as to make it more user friendly for more 10 scale bodies. If you look at the Pro chassis here, it's a little bit easier to see the plate itself instead of on the truck. But we've done away with the stock sway bars and given you more holes to tune your sway bars with the ones that are provided with the kit. You still have your same shock locations up here as stock. So if you wanted to run the axle shocks and run them in the same position to get pretty much the same performance, you could get that out of here, as well as you could use the locations here in conjunction with the trailing arms that come with the kit to put some trailing arm mounted shocks to kind of better have more opportunities to tune the suspension the way you like it for racing or whatever you're doing with it.
Right. Like you want to water skip a lake or something?
Yeah. So yeah, on these chassis, there's several things designed into them. Like I said, this one here that's basically just a stock with a little bit of a design to it. This one here has a totally different vibe to it. The battery and the electronics compartments are flipped around 180 degrees, which allows the weight to be more forward on the front. So if you're racing, you're getting on the gas, you're less likely to pull the wheels as much. You can still flip it over, but it does help with the handling control, especially when you go into braking. You're doing a brake turn or something.
Right.
It allows the weight to transfer forward and dig into the turn. Helps you transfer that weight into the turn. And for me, at least, the way I have mine set up, I have it 0 degrees all the way around. Some people run 5 degrees front or rear. I run 0 all the way around. And what that does for me, out here in Florida, we got this loomy, silty sand and it allows it to kind of flat track around it. It doesn't really bite in, and you can have a little bit more fun with it on this type of soil. So obviously your conditions may vary, and you may choose to do something otherwise. That's how I do it. Another thing that was designed into this with a little bit of forethought into what I would like to see out of this truck. Obviously this truck is a more scale truck with the axles and everything, and I figured, okay, well, what better way to make it scale than to allow it to run a center drop box transmission, SCS gearbox. All right, so these plates here that are common and what's used on my SMT chassis have also been incorporated into the design. If you notice, there's several holes here that aren't here on your stock chassis. Those allow for the mounting of this plate, which in turn you can mount the SCS gearbox on it and run without the LMT. Yeah, you're gonna have this area here, but you can cover it with a plate or acrylic or something.
Right.
Make a little sponsor plate to stick there to cover the holes, so it's not
Gotcha.
so out of place. But this is something that's going to be coming later. Working out a way to actually go from a 5mm gearbox to the 6mm output shaft of the LMT axles.
Oh, okay.
So I'm working at two different ways, working on drive shaft solutions, and I'm also working with a company to develop a output gear specifically for the LMT rear end to actually make it a 5mm output shaft with the same spur gear that slips right into the axle. So nothing else changes, it's just a different gear. You swap it in there, now you have a 5mm output instead of a 6mm. So there's a couple different routes I'm trying to go with it, whichever is the most cost effective, obviously.
Right.
But which I think the drive shaft thing would be the best thing to do. But of course it's going to take some time. But at any rate, so that's kind of how the LMT stuff I got goes. Got several things for the LMT. I mean, I've got the stands for the axles that work with the regular axles and the trail axles. The axle braces, it could be put in any color. I got green, blue, black, pink, purple, yellow, orange, whatever, kind of match your build. They do offer a lot of strength to them, and also it gives you a little bit of color, a little dash of color for the axles.
Right.
And you know they fit really nice to the axle itself. And kind of the idea was to follow kind of the contours of the original axle, so it didn't stand out so bad.
Right.
So, but yeah, if you want to check out the website, the jercustomdesigns.com/shop, you can find all the stuff we're talking about here. If it's not there yet, it'll be there shortly. As things come in and as we get stuff developed, and we get a lot more stuff coming. So we can move on, I think, from.
Now we've got the Clodbuster. Man, this thing's a work of art.
Yeah, this took me some time to figure out. Like I said, with the Percy's chassis, this one here is actually designed or built off of the Percy's chassis, which in its design itself, it was allotted for you to kind of trim it up. So again, you had a universal platform to build off of. Okay. You can do it kind of however you wanted, and this is one of the intended purposes is to turn it into a Clod. So this is that version of it. I run it a little bit, but I wanted to get an actual purpose-built Clod chassis. My idea was to keep a cab, so you have the cab on there, you can see the cab through the truck body and still have that appearance, as well as being able to protect all your electronics and stuff that are up here. If you roll over or whatever, because a lot of the bodies they have just kind of flop around, they're not really attached to it.
Yeah, they're just hanging in the wind from what I've seen.
Yeah, they use Velcro, a lot of them, and you know it works, but with the chassis that are out there, they don't have really a real means to attach a body to.
Right. I see you got magnets on this
Yep,
one?
these got magnets. I don't have the body out here, but I have my ram body that goes on here, and I was just trying out the magnets. The magnets aren't strong enough. As soon as you pop a wheelie and come down, the body flies off.
And our scalar group, we used to call those ejecto bodies.
Yeah. And that's what these magnets and stuff are from. I printed the stands here to mount them on, but the magnets themselves are out of those pre-made crawler-based magnet bodies. I just popped the magnets out and built these around them to use, thinking it would hold, because on a crawler it holds pretty well. But on
Unless
these,
you fall down an 8-foot wall. I've only done it a couple hundred times.
But yeah, so like with the Clod here, this one's set up here. It's set up for 4-wheel steer, just because, you know, why not? But you can also do a lockout on it. I'm working on a lockout system that I'll show you on the other Clod I have here in a minute. But I've got the brace system on here, which is everything you see in red. The whole kit itself, I think, costs about $75, but it comes with everything you need to make either a front wheel steer or a all-wheel steer setup. And what's unique about these is the wraparound hoop here that ties the top end with your lower end. Because obviously with the Pro Mod setup, you're attaching your forelink or your lower link to the bottom of the axle, and what happens is a lot of the C-hub will snap off when you pogo or land hard on the back. It'll usually snap off, whereas that can still happen with these, but you're tying everything in. You're tying that into the diff case,
Yeah, I see
as
that's
well
up
as
into
yep, it's bolted to the inside of the diff case. And it's also bolted through with a long bolt that goes all the way through here that ties all this in together. And then also you have the added protection of this.
That's a nice design.
One, if you hit something head on.
We don't ever do that.
No, never. And then two, it transfers a lot of the twisting from the lower end to the top, and ideally it would help prevent the C-hubs from breaking, like they commonly do. The setup on here has the behind the axle steering, which I have the metal links for this available. I also have the 3D printed ones, which are kind of good in their own right because it gives you a failure point.
Gotcha.
Because running the aluminum, you know, you're running the risk of making it too rigid, and then you'll snap the plastic spindle arms here, which you can break pretty easily. So the printed ones aren't too bad. They hold up just fine. Again, they are made to be more pliable, flexible, breakable, so that way, hopefully, you don't end up breaking something else. Because the Clod axles are becoming harder to get a hold of. I think ship-wise, I believe. Shape-wise.
Shapeways?
Shapeways. It's making them for J-Concept now, the 3D printed ones.
Really?
Yeah, because I guess, I don't know what the deal is with all that, but I tried getting a hold of Tamaya.
It's a 30-year-old truck, for one thing, man. It's a 30-year-old truck, isn't it?
Well, a lot of the parts and stuff, they're made the same way. And it's just, you know, the plastics are just 70s, 80s technology that they're still using today for stuff that we're putting probably 10 times more power into them and demanding a lot more performance out of the same stuff that they had back in the 80s that was meant to be just a toy grade truck. I mean, it was a hobby grade, but
that thing's the king, dude.
Yeah.
The Clod is the king.
Yeah, you can't beat a Clod, that's for sure. But I mean, for what it is and how long it's been around, I mean, they did something right when they made it, and otherwise we probably wouldn't be where we're at with Monster Truck RC.
Exactly.
Without them. So, but hopefully the new ones that are coming out from J-Concept will be a big hit. And they'll withstand a lot more. But anyways, so yeah, this is available as a kit as well. The axle supports are available as a kit, and all the kits come with the trailing arms and the sway bars. And to get the exact rundown of what comes with the kit, you can find that all that on the web.
On the website.
But like I was saying, all of this was to lead into having a purpose-built Clodbuster chassis, which is what I have here. And like everything else that I make everything to have more than one purpose.
Gotcha.
This here, if you look here, if that symbol reminds you of anything, it's the infinity sign. All right, so
see if I can get that in there. There we go.
This chassis was dubbed the Infinity Chassis. And what that means is, one, it was designed purposely as a Clod chassis. But again, you can turn it into basically whatever you want. The way this is set up is with the transmission plate that we showed you earlier is also designed into the bottom of this chassis. So you can run a solid axle setup on this if you wanted to. Also, the hole pattern on here, you have the stock mounting geometry of the LMT on here as well. So once we do get it figured out and have a way to mount the LMT axles to a 5mm gearbox, that will be an option available to do at a later date. But to prevent having to make changes in the future, and then some people not being able to have that option, it was gone ahead and designed into this chassis from the get-go, so that way, you know, when it does come available, everybody will be able to take advantage of it.
I gotcha.
Aside from that, this chassis is based off of this. It's just basically the cab has been removed,
Right.
and then extended up to allow for clearance of the motors and everything for Clodbusters. The top was shaved down. Didn't really want to do that originally, but to allow it to accommodate more bodies and things like that.
Right.
It's been flattened out. It's still about the same height as this, maybe a little bit taller, to protect your electronics and stuff that you put inside if you roll over or what have you. And then these here are extended out, and really the main purpose of these is for the body mounts, to have a place to mount,
right.
put mounts for your body. That way you're not mounting them straight to the center and your body flops around. You have a nice platform to put your body mounts on. But other than that, there's holes in the side where you can actually put the side mounted body posts and everything if you wanted to. So all that's still available to do. And that's all kind of integrated into the overall design of the truck.
Lots of versatility with that chassis right there.
But yeah, all my chassis have some degree of versatility to them. That's kind of what got me started in this, is to be able to offer that, so you can just get one thing and you can do several things with it. You don't have to keep buying chassis. You get bored with it, you build it another way.
Right.
Play with it a little bit, tear it down, build it another way, and have fun with it that way too. So, but yeah, other than that, the lockout that I was talking about, that I've made for this. This is the working prototype. Once I get this chassis finished build up, I'll be able to test it out. But it should work just fine because it's actually
looks good.
It's actually locked in, squared off to the link, and it's bolted in. So it shouldn't go anywhere. The axles are nice and straight and even, and you can even adjust it. It's got a little slider area there where you can kind of fine tune it if it's a little bit off.
Gotcha.
But yeah, other than that, the hubs that I have will fit these as well. Because actually I'm running these same these 12mm hubs.
The 12mm ones, yep.
Yeah, these 12mm hubs here for the SMT. The only thing is you have to drill out the center hole to a 6mm because the axle shaft is a little bit thicker.
Gotcha.
But to keep from having to do that and then having an off-size shaft for an SMT, I kept it small, and you can drill it out with a 11/30 seconds, I think, or a 6mm.
Okay.
Whatever that turned out to be.
All
An
right.
1/8 inch or whatever, 1/4 inch, whatever that amounts to. But anyways, that's pretty much all I got. I'm sure I'm missing some things to try to make this short as possible, but give everybody kind of an overview of everything that we have to offer here. And of course, everything can be found on the internet. If you're on Facebook, just look up Jerrc. Hit me up. I'll be happy to help you out, answer any questions I can, and go from there. But stay tuned. We'll have a lot more stuff coming out in the future. This is literally just the tip of the iceberg, especially for the LMT. Be getting more into the Clod stuff and back into the SMT and fine tune some of that stuff. But yeah, thanks for coming out,
buddy. Thank you. This has been awesome. You got a lot of nice stuff.
I got more stuff than I could probably cover, but I think we went over it pretty well, and I appreciate you coming out and spending some time with me and taking a look at what I have, and
yes, sir.
Kind of go from there.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right.
He had a lot to say, didn't he? The guy knows his stuff. He knows his chassis. He's designed all of them. Like I said, he's one of the first guys to really come out with stuff for this. Mine is still broken, although he did have a brand new pack of stock plastic ones. I was hoping he had the Trials in stock, but he sold them out like the day before I could get there. But anyway, I will get the Trill knuckles on this, get this fixed up, and I want to order directly from him. There's a link in the description for his website as well, so make sure you guys check that out. So, hey, long video. Pretty much he said everything that needed to be said, showed what needed to be showed. Guys, I'm going to end it here real quick. Check that description for his link, Jerrc. Also some affiliate links for this kind of stuff right here from AMA and eBay, Amazon, and Horizon. Make sure you check those out and use them to support XOKHRC. So guys, check that description, use those links, make sure you're subscribed, and thank you all for watching.
If you like what you see, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you really like it, ring that bell so you get all the new content when it comes on out. Now, starting up very soon, I'm going to start a giveaway for all channel members, and it is going to be monthly. It will be a giveaway, simple, easy payment way to double your return on your subscription fees. So yeah, you might want to check that out. Guys, thank you all for watching.